This video is to help you with the diptych or sequence assignment. So a diptych is a photograph that uses two different images that are meant to be next to each other or one on top of the other, but basically two images that are better together than they are apart. They're kind of like the Reese's peanut butter cups of photography. Um, so they make one single artistic statement or show a strong relationship between the two subjects. If you have three images, it's called a triptych. So here we see two images that are both interesting images on their own, but by putting them together, we, the viewer, start trying to make connections. So we can see, actually, let me grab the pointer, that, it's actually both images kind of have the same composition, and they both have these two central areas in the middle where the most interesting things are happening. And because they're together, we start thinking, is the artist trying to tell us something? Is there something about this blue arrow that relates to this hand? And is there something about the stop that relates to what this hand is doing? And we start almost kind of coming up with an explanation or a story. This one shows the Gestalt uh, theory of perception, which is continuation. So we see that these radii come out on the Ferris wheel, but then it continues into these legs. So even though these might have both been taken at the same place, the Jersey Shore or someplace else, they're two different kind of things, but put together, they're very harmonious and do something very interesting visually. Here we see that with these tall, thin trees, it kind of echoes these tall, thin legs. And if you look very closely, you actually see that there's a person in here. So we have a shift of scale, but we have similarity in terms of the shapes that we have here. And they kind of build on each other and make each other look more similar and long and thin. Here we have these trees coming out of this roof, and they're kind of lined up so they almost look like they could be the person's head. Another thing that you can do is find two very different objects that are visually similar, and put them together. And again, it makes us, the viewer, experience these two things in a new way. So we have the shingles and the scales that are similar. And then we start even making connections between, oh, is the eye kind of like the window or the vent or something like that? Here we have, this is called twins. And I think if we just saw this image here of the house, we'd be like, oh, okay, there's a duplex, that's kind of interesting. But when we see it juxtaposed with the picture of these identical twins, we start thinking about, oh, these are two people that are identical to each other, but there are some kind of differences. So they're two parts of a whole. Just like in this image, it's a house that has two parts that make up a whole. So again, we get a richer understanding when these images are presented together. Here again, I'm a dog owner, so I actually like to think of this as a dog, and this is where dogs like to pee. And, the satellite dish here with I think it's very important that the flower that kind of looks like a satellite dish with this central part is facing towards. So it's kind of a mirror image of the satellite dish. I think that works really well. It's even better than if one was faced the other way. Seeing all these plant leaves kind of go up and around and under, again, makes connections with these underpasses here. And the grates in the waffle and the grate in the ground with the grids. Even here, again, these are maybe two parts of the same thing, but I love how we get the plaid of how it's been mowed, and then we have the plaid on that specific baseball as well. So another thing I want to talk about is sequences. So Dwayne Michaels is the kind of champion of sequences. It was kind of a big deal actually when he started doing this, and some people in the photography community kind of rejected it at first, but then in time he's become one of the most important photographers out there. So in this one, it's kind of very interesting. He's playing with the idea of perspective, and he shows this kind of little sequence, this little story of him creating this pyramid. And because of foreshortening, it looks as big or even bigger than the periods than the pyramids back there. He does a lot of work about things not being what they appear to be. And he is gay, and so he has done a lot of work that may have to do with the gay experience, especially the gay experience decades ago, where people had to be in the closet. And so this one, he actually is quoted as talking about this kind of ships passing in the night. So it tells the story. This one goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these two men pass each other, and maybe they are interested in each other. So here they go, they pass each other, they look, he turns around, he wonders, I wonder, maybe, he's interested in the guy, is the guy interested in him, but he keeps on walking. And then here in the last one, we see that the guy actually looked back as well. And again, in things not being what they first appear to be, which could correlate to the idea of being closeted. Here we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we see an object, but the object is in things, and then we see it's actually a reflection, and then we see it's a reflection of that, and then we actually see that it's a photograph, and then it's being destroyed. And this one is, oh, this is actually called Things Are Queer. I need to pause for a second because I want to find a larger version for you. Hold on.